Hello, and today we'll be unboxing Battle of El Alamein, War in the Desert, the new start set from Flames of War. It costs £22, it's got 5 tanks in, and a few other bits and bobs. So let's open it up and see what you get inside. How on earth? Okay. Aha, yeah, I can see how this is put together. Cellophane comes off, opens up to the side. We have some dice. Let's get it all out. I've got a rule book, I've got some cards. Nothing else inside, so we will put that there, out of the way. So, get started. Some terrain. 2 sheets of cardboard press out terrain. That could come in very useful. We've got some tanks, and they are different colours. So, that looks awfully like... Alright, yeah, they're different colours by nation. We've got a sprue of tank, 2 sprues of tank commanders, but we've got a Panzer IV and a Panzer III. A lot more pieces than the Zvezda kits. I'll be doing a side-by-side comparison with them in a bit. This Panzer III comes with the high velocity gun and the lower velocity gun. At this point in the war, the Panzer III was the standard main battle tank of the German army. The Panzer IV, which has the Panzer IV support and the Panzer IV 75mm long and the Panzer IV Panzer 75mm medium gun. So you've got the evolution of the Panzer through several versions. Yeah, that's another kit with plenty of stuff on it. Aha, this is the A13, I believe, but let's double check. Yeah, the Crusader 2, not the A13. So, Crusader 2 and 3. Does that include the Crusader Close Support? I would guess it might. It's certainly got 3 different guns, so I will have a good long look at those. It does look like it's the 2-pounder, the 6-pounder, but is that a modified 6-pounder? I'll have to look it up and have a look. Panzer III. Panzer III has some optional pieces. Yep, the long 5cm, the short 5cm, and the 75mm close support gun. Different back parts. Panzer IV long and short. However, on the sprue itself, it's got multiple pieces. Yes, and the Grant, which looks like going to be a very interesting tank. With the riveted hull. Oh, I'm going to have to paint all those rivets, it's going to be a nightmare. Riveted hull, small turret. Yeah, there'll be a lot of interesting pieces in that. I'll have to have a real good look at it. But yeah, that's also got... I wonder if this has different marks in. I'm going to have to check that out. So, comes with full instructions, and you've got a bunch of tank commanders in a little baggie. Let's get that out and have a good look. they are not the same. They are two different types of tank commander. Let's have a look. Does it say? It doesn't say what faction they go with, so I'll have to have a real close look at those. I think these are the German and these are the Allies, but we'll have to have a good old look. That'll certainly add an extra something to putting the tanks together. Looking at this, you have quite a reasonable variation in what you can put together using these kits. To be fair, they are impressing me compared to the Zveda, particularly the Grant. I'd love to get my hands on a few more of these. Fortunately, the Desert Rat set has, I think, 5 of them and another 3 of these, which would give me 6 of these, 5 of these, but I've picked up another Zveda Crusader, which give me 6 of both. That would form the core of a Flames of War army. It also formed the core of a Blitzkrieg Commander version 3 army. So this is quite a nice set for the tanks. So let's put this to one side. You've got the Get Started and Get Started Quickly, which goes through how to check line of sight and range, movement, how to hit, gives you a basic run through of the turn, and it gives you a couple of missions for playing with tanks, and then straight into what to get next. So the army books, the army sets, which are all plastic, and then the additional miniatures. I've picked up a honey as well from Zveda that I'll be pulling out and having a look at in a little bit. We've got these unit cards. Let's have a look. Aha, these platoon cards, which will give me a reasonable idea. Oh. These look like quick reference. So, a Grant troop is 18 points, a Crusader troop is 5 points, a Crusader 2 and 3 troop is between 5 and 7 points, a Panzer 3 troop is between 15 and 40 points, a Panzer 3 up armoured troop is between 24 and 40 points, which I think puts the Panzer 3s at 8 points a pop, versus the Crusader 2s at less than 2 points a pop. That's certainly going to lead to one side having an awful lot of tanks. The Grants, however, are 6 points each, which means that the Panzer 3 shorts are 5 points each. The Panzer 4s are 6 points for the short, but the second you replace them with the long, that jumps to 10 points. So, in this set, you do not get enough models to put together a single platoon at all, which is a little bit of a pain. I think this set is meant to be added to these sets, because these sets with these sets, if you put them together, you've got 5 Crusaders, which is certainly enough to put together an armoured troop. You get 6 Grants, which is enough to put together 2 armoured troops, so that'll be 36, 41, plus whatever the artillery costs. The German set has a couple of Panzer 4s. Is it as many as 3? I think that's 3 of them. And then, but yeah, there's a decent amount in both. However, the Germans cost a lot more points than the British. But flipping over, you've got these reference cards, which I think is one of the things that people were getting so upset about in some of the forums. So you've got all the stats on here. It's a nice handy quick reference card, but not selling them in separate packs, and they haven't brought out cards for everything that you'd need. So let's have a look, and it breaks it down for... So this is the mini rulebook. I think it needs to be flattened out a little bit, but it goes through the rules, so I will have a real good look at that at some point soon. A little bit of history, and then it starts going through how things work. So unit cards, which they will hopefully make available separately at some point soon. So unit cards, infantry units, doesn't tell you how many there are on this side, but Crusader 2 troops come in threes. With Crusader 2 and 3 you can start taking some upgraded ones, but you can't take all Crusader 3s, you've got to take a Crusader 2, and I have no idea why they will not let you take all Crusader 3s. Possibly because of the odd accounting that leads to. So it appears to be +1 point per Crusader 3. Crusader 3s get significantly better anti-tank. But it starts to show you some of the other units. And again, no point values. Plenty more rules, assaults. Starts talking about how you select a force. So a desert rat force. So heavy tank formations, which are grants, cruiser tank formations, which are crusaders and honeys, and infantry formations, which are motor companies. So you've got to have at least one, and that's showing you taking all of them. So that's actually quite a variety, and you wouldn't have got that historically in every formation. Okay, you could go all grants, you could go 2 grants and a crusader or a honey. So grant armoured troop, crusader armoured troop, £25 a field troop. And then into missions. So the game as is, you can play through a couple of introductory scenarios, but there isn't enough to form even the most basic of forces in the box itself. You need to then add more miniatures to it. It would be nice if you could put together a 10-15 point force from what you get in the box, but you can't. The smallest Panzer III force, smallest Panzer III squadron needs 3 of them, smallest Panzer IV squadron needs 2 of them. Each of the allied tanks has minimum of 3. It looks like all the rules being reserved for, in terms of units, the army sets, the books, and cards packaged in with the miniatures that you buy. I can see why they've done it. It would have been good, particularly for anybody who was a Battlefront customer before literally right now, if they made these packs of cards available separately. I'd certainly pick it up if it was available separately and for a good variety of units. It looks like at the moment the release is very limited, but that what you pick up will have the stuff with you need to take. Yeah, it is leading you straight into buying the army sets and the army books. The army books are 15 each in UK pounds. The army sets are 55 each in UK pounds. Looking at this, the army set for, if you went with up armoured panzers, that'd be 48, 72, depending on if you made any of them long. If you made 2 of them long, suddenly you're at 80. I don't know what the artillery costs, but that's almost 100 points, which appears to be a reasonable battle size. It looks like in an equally pointed battle you will get a lot more British in terms of sheer numbers because of the cheapness of their units. Germans the elite force, lower numbers, less stuff you got to get. But the British are absolutely not the elite force. It is going to be a tank horde and possibly an infantry horde and some artillery and maybe some air support in a force that, if the Germans have an equal point value, they will have half as many tanks, they will have maybe no planes, less artillery, less infantry. Certainly it might make it a good idea to take some Italian allies, but knowing that there's a very limited choice of units in the first army books released, it does push you towards generally doing a tank army. The tanks are lovely. I will be putting them together in a bit and comparing and contrasting them with the Zvezda tanks as well. I've got a Zvezda Crusader to compare with the Battlefront Crusader. I've got the Zvezda Panzer III to compare with the Battlefront Panzer III. And I'll line up the Panzer II that I reviewed yesterday, the Panzer III, the Battlefront Panzer III and the Battlefront Panzer IV. I'll also go through and show how they've been put together, just so that you can see somebody do it, but I'll do those in small separate videos. For 22 quid it's absolutely worth it, particularly for these tanks. I am very impressed with them. I wish they'd gone with more of them. I'd have loved it if it was 2 Panzer IVs versus 3 Grants, because that would have given you valid formations. You have 2 Panzer IVs, you make one of them a Panzer IV long, you have 3 Grants, and it's an 18 point versus a 16 point formation. And you can have some games. You might have the ability to upgrade one of your Panzer IVs, and suddenly it's exactly equal. However, as it is literally a taster set. The what's next is really the outcome of this, which is how to put the tanks together, your basic rules, and then a couple of short games. For what it is, it's certainly worth 22 quid. I would need to play with the rules to find out what I think of them. I know that Blitzkrieg Commander is out, and it's very likely I'll end up collecting the force for Blitzkrieg Commander, but possibly with a mixture of Zvezda and Battlefront units. As I start putting things together though, I will compare and contrast the 2 sets of figures, show you the differences and show you how they paint up. If you've liked this video, hit like and subscribe. If you've got an opinion, leave a comment. I will read all the comments and come back and chat to you about them. But yes, this is a very nice set in terms of how it is put together. It's absolutely worth 22 quid, and I would recommend it to historical gamers who want to get into 15mm scale, just to get you 5 very nice tanks. If you like War in the Desert, and that's the period I want to collect, it's a good purchase. In that case, thanks for your time.